Good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone doing this Tuesday? And sometimes you gotta think during this time of social distancing. But today we have an incredible guest, and I'm saying incredible because this is actually the first time that we're gonna have someone, an expert on transfer admissions. So I will wait for our colleague in the state of Rhode Island. We will invite her. Ta 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 ta. Who is coming today? Who is coming to Conversations Live with Juan Catamayo, JCT for Education for You? Victor, hola.
Hola, how are you?
Good. How are you, my friend?
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Great. Thank you for just working uh, on your position right
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah.
Victor Silva, Transfer Admissions, University of Rhode Island. How are you this afternoon?
I'm great, thanks. It's a beautiful day in Rhode Island. The weather's really nice. It's not too hot right now, which is great. The warmer weather's coming, so we're preparing for that. But, if we're not complaining about it being hot, we're complaining about it being cold. So we'll
So,
take what we can get.
so June 16th, what's the temperature right now in Rhode Island?
Right now, my house is about 76 degrees
And
Fahrenheit.
you're inside your house and outside?
No, outside that's a temperature. Inside, it's nice, a little cooler with the AC.
Okay. Well, right here, Dr. Karen Sierra says, beautiful day in Miami. Christian Safi, you know Christian.
Yes.
We have Education USA just joined, and we will have a lot of people. Maria Cristina Roget, she's also joining in. We will have a lot of people throughout. Thank you, and thank you, University of Rhode Island, for letting us use your admission account, your marketing account. It is a really good way to communicate with our audience, students, parents, high school counselors, independent counselors, people from around the world. So are you ready to rock and roll, Victor?
I'm ready. I'm ready for you. You can hit me with the hard questions.
Okay, Victor. I worked in admissions for 16 and a half years. I worked for Clark University, I worked for Lynn University, and I have the highest respect for people in admissions, but also in the transfer world. It can be very, very complex. And I know that you've been in this arena for at least 13 years dealing with the transfer population. But Victor, most important, how are you? How is your family during this time of this middle of a pandemic?
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you asking. We're doing well. We're making the adjustment to what things are, and working from home. We started that about in the middle of March when everything started to impact us a little bit more. But our governor did a fantastic job of implementing measures in place to get us back going. So we're pretty far along in the reopening phase of the state. So I have a 2.5-year-old, so he keeps us busy,
Uh,
between calls. His name is Oscar.
Oscar. Okay.
Yeah, con pelirrojo, he looks like my
Pelirrojo.
wife. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he looks like my wife, thankfully. We don't need this again in the world, but they're doing well, and we're just taking one day at a time and keeping positive, and looking forward to the next steps. So thank you so much, and I hope the same for you and your family as well.
Yeah, we're doing well. Same here. We're going on 3 months. I haven't seen my colleagues in 3 months. It seems like I see them all the time in Zoom and WhatsApp video calls and Instagram stories, but I don't get to see them in person, and I miss that component as well as the family. So thank you for sharing about your family. Victor, Conversations is about human beings, is about you. So Silva, where is that Silva from?
So I was actually born in the U.S. and I've lived in Rhode Island my whole life. But my mother's from Angola in Africa, and my father's from Portugal. And they came to Rhode Island 37 years ago, more or less.
Okay.
My dad left all of his family. My mom had her sisters here, and started a family here. So it's been a great experience for me. I feel like I have my foot in both cultures, which is great. Very, very proud of the Portuguese side of things, the Portuguese heritage. Always root Portugal, World Cup games, those kinds of things. That's my team. But no, and they've kind of made me and helped me shape and give me the tools to, where I am today in my career in admissions. And I know we mentioned about transfer and even some experience in international.
Yes.
It was always great to interact with, students similar to myself, like a first generation student, or, a student coming from a different background. Families might not be from the US.
So you follow the Portuguese league, soccer
Uh,
league?
I do. We're Benfica fans in my family. That's it.
Okay.
We don't talk about anybody else.
Well, I've been to Portugal several times, and there is a beautiful town, probably an hour and something minutes from Lisboa, and it's called Óbidos. Have you been to Óbidos?
In passing, my grandmother and grandparents, they lived in the central part of the Sierra de Estrela. So,
Okay.
driven through, but never spent so much time. I've always spent time in Lisbon, Porto, and kind of points north of Lisbon on the coast.
Such a beautiful country. Remember going to Óbidos and then to Nazareth, and then
Hmm.
of course we went to see Fatima. And I mean, it was such a lovely place. How is your Portuguese?
I mean, it's not that great. I always joke, I feel like I sound like a baby when I speak Portuguese. Everything's in the first person, present tense, but I do my best. I think my travels made me a little bit more courageous and taking a risk and using and being a little bit more confident in my Portuguese, and then learning Spanish along the way. And I think that helps. And there's great people in these countries too that are very, very patient with you, So if you're struggling to get through the words, they're always happy to help.
So you have a big fan here from the Dominican Republic, Valinda Valdez. What's the
Uh,
connection? She says his heart is the size of his son.
Belinda has been my good friend for years, and I've learned, and I'm very, very thankful to have her in my life. She was a mentor from my first time, one of my first few trips going down into the Dominican Republic, welcoming me with open arms into her school. Never knew me before, she knew my colleague Fred Johnson, and thankfully Fred never said anything bad about me. But
No.
you know, she's just a wonderful, wonderful person. I've been able to connect with her family a lot more. Her nephew graduated from my alma mater when I was still working there too, and just had a positive experience. And she's, just the nicest person, always reaching out, making sure I'm okay, checking in the family, sharing pictures, sharing jokes. She's one of the best.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, Belinda Valdez, she's in the Dominican Republic in Santo Domingo, and she is an incredible educator. She's been doing this for years. And Belinda, un beso para ti y toda tu familia en la República Dominicana. So, Victor, you mentioned your alma mater. You graduated from Johnson and Wales. You're a true Rhode Island, and you were born. You went to high school in Rhode Island. By the way, because we have high school students watching. Did you go to public or private school?
I went to a private school. The name of my school is Bishop Hendricken High School in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Okay. And remember your curriculum? Was it AP, IB? How was it?
It was college prep. I wasn't the best, that's for sure, but I tried my hardest.
Okay.
I
And
was
go ahead, go ahead.
I think like many other students, I had my head in a few different places, and I was trying to wrap it all around and trying to, get the school part done, but also maintain my interests outside of school. And I know I don't look like much of an athlete anymore, but I played baseball in college. And that was something that was important to me. And I know you always talk about in finding the best fit, is
Yes.
making those other parts and your interest part of your college curriculum and career.
So what position do you play with baseball?
I pitched.
You pitch.
Yeah, tried
Wow.
to.
You try. A couple of weeks ago, we had a pitcher right here, Danny Rios, and
Hmm.
actually we brought him up because his dream. He was a professional baseball player. He played for the Yankees. He played for Kansas City. He moved to Asia, and then when he was in Taiwan, he says to his wife, "You know what? I want to become a firefighter." So interesting, man. And
Yeah,
you
for
you
sure.
become you graduated from Johnson and Wales. You have your degree in international business, and you deep into admissions. You work for Meditech. That was your first job. Why Meditech? Why admissions? Tell us.
So it was an interesting path. So with the international business option, I'm super thankful for the experience I had at Meditech. Um, in preparation for graduation and everything they've done, they reached out to me with a potential option at the time. Looking to hire folks out of college, and based on my resume, that the networking part of it, one of my faculty had shared with them, and it made the connection, and I was super thankful and super lucky to have the job. But they were an international company, and they still are, and they had, they were working with hospitals in Canada, in South Africa. At the time, they were branching out a little bit more into some other places. So that part of it and that option for me, was very, very exciting because I was dead set too. My degree said international business, so
Hmm.
I had to do something with international business. So When I got through that, though, and just learning the transferable skills, and even though I didn't make it to the international side of it, the opportunity came up, excuse me, at Johnson and Wales and my alma mater to come back and
Yes.
work in admissions and to start in transfer, which is a pretty atypical path. Usually people start as freshman counselors.
Victor, when you started admissions in Johnson and Wales, and right now with University of Rhode Island and Roger Williams University and so forth, any particular territory that you have the expertise? Is it Latin America? Is it Europe? Some places in the U.S.? Tell us a little bit about your expertise.
Sure. So where I've spent most of my time and where I started is in domestic transfer admissions.
Okay.
So that's where my career started. So assisting all community college students and four-year students, even if they were international, studying in the U.S. to then transfer to, at the time, Johnson and Wales and Roger Williams University. So I have that background, but in transfer, and in admissions, if you're the transfer person, you also help out with undergraduate freshmen and whatever you can do. So I shared in some local territories in the Northeast and covered some trips where I could. And then afterwards, I went back to Johnson and Wales again, very, very happy for the opportunity to go back. But I was in international admissions, and my specific territory was Latin America and the Caribbean. And I did that for 7 years.
Okay, already. So then you move. You went to Rhode Island University. Then you went to Johnson and Wales, where you went back for a few years, and then you found this amazing opportunity at Rhode Island, University of Rhode Island. Tell us about that transition.
It was great. Kind of the same way that I mentioned Belinda, one of my colleagues, one of the first people I met at my first college fair is my current director, Miss Debbie Suggs. And she had the position open up, and I saw it, reached out, had to connect with her, and was just praying as much as I could that this would be the next step in my pathway in education. And again, over the years, I had learned so much from her. And now to be able to work with her and collaborate is such a great experience. Our office is always moving, trying to think about different things we can do for students to engage students. And at this time, and being as flexible as we can, because I think, and if I can say in my expertise now, what I learned along the way, I think transfer, people always assume that with a warm and fuzzy. You go to a community college for 2 years, you graduate with an associate's degree, and then you go to your 4-year to graduate with your bachelor's, which is not typically the case. Transfer happens for a lot of different reasons. There could have been an issue at the school, personal, financial. So it's a little bit more, of a project, it's a little bit more to break down, but it's that connection, that more one-on-one with students that I've always enjoyed through the transfer process.
Perfect. So are you ready to dip into University of Rhode Island world?
I am.
Okay, let's go for the mano mano. What's the total population at University of Rhode Island?
So total population is about 17,000 students, of which we have about 14,500 undergraduates. In each year, we probably bring in close to 3,300 incoming students, new students for our fall. A little bit smaller classes, class sizes in the spring term, but we have a fall and a spring intake. And for transfer specifically too, within that number, we bring anywhere between 600 to 700 transfer students, and that might include some international students each year as well.
What percentage of the 3,300 students that you bring every year are outside of the state of Rhode Island?
Outside, it's close to 47%. We are the largest state institution in the state of Rhode Island. So a bulk of our population ends up being more than half the students from Rhode Island, which is great because Rhode Island's a great place and offers such diversity and a lot of different people coming from a lot of different backgrounds, and to share and to make the experience of what being a Ram, we're the Rams, what being a Ram is like on campus, but then to bring, also a significant amount of students from other places in the US and from over 76 countries. We do have a great makeup of, a great learning institution where students can collaborate, have dialogue, and it's a safe place to do so.
Victor, let's say that you are right now in the Dominican Republic, you're back and you're recruiting. And why would you want to choose University of Rhode Island?
That's a great question. And I've come to fall in love with it in a short period of time, just as far as the opportunities that students have available to them. It's a very student-centered institution where, we're constantly focusing on the student experience and the outcomes, and where we're looking to make sure that you're successful graduates of the university and great citizens of the communities that you're in and representing your institution, your alma mater after graduation. And I think that goes, we do see that significantly. I think we have more success stories than not. And,
Yes.
To see past students work with current students to kind of bring me up to speed. My wife is an alum, so she brought me up to speed quite a bit, even though, again, being a native Rhode Islander. But again, the resources that are available for students, the improvements that we're making on campus, the dedication of financial assistance to students of need too. It's just the outpouring of great people and then the opportunities that are available to you once you walk through the door.
Okay. Now, Victor, you are from the Dominican Republic. How do you get into your school? Let's talk about airplanes, transportation. I wanna have people from around the world thinking about planes and transportation.
Absolutely. So we do have our own airport in Providence, Rhode Island, but especially coming from the Dominican Republic, I might decide to fly to JetBlue and maybe to Boston and come on down. But either way, as far as where we're located, we're only about 3.5 hours by car to New York City, and only about an hour and a half from Boston, Massachusetts. And we are off a major railway too, that runs through the state that connects New York through Boston, through Amtrak. So a lot of students, if they don't find a flight that they're looking for, they'll look for a regional airport or a larger airport. So from there, getting to campus relatively easy again, from either New York or Boston by taking a train. Sometimes students would take the bus if they wanted to. There's different options for that. But we have great staff, that I work with that are committed to the cause of making sure that students, don't have that feeling of being lost, and making sure that you have a clear plan of this is how you're going to do it. This is your arrival time, and we'll be there to help you again along the way in getting to campus. But the biggest thing for our students would be if you have a question about it specifically and where you're coming from, just make sure you let us know so we can point you in the right direction.
Okay, thank you so much. And that even for me is very helpful. I'm an American Airlines traveler, so I
Yep.
probably will go to Boston or sometimes, Rhode Island. But being an international student, it is special. I was an international student myself, came here 30 years ago, and transportation, I always had to take 3 planes to go to my alma mater, Clark University in Dubuque, Iowa. So nothing, when you love the institution, you travel anywhere, and it's the cohort. Now, let's talk about dollars and cents.
Mm-hmm.
How much is tuition, room, board, and fees, comprehensive fees for the institution?
So everything all in for an out-of-state or international student is close to about $46,000.
Okay.
The tuition close to $32,000 with another $14,000 on top, for room and board and additional fees, estimated
Yes.
additional fees.
And actually is somehow affordable. Now you see a cost of universities in the United States, the I-20 as we call it, it goes to $80,000, $90,000. So it's still within the range. I am a transfer student, international. Do I qualify for the scholarships or not?
Absolutely, especially you, Juan Camilo.
Okay,
You
thank
always.
you. Thank you so much.
But yes, merit aid for international transfer students or international undergraduate students, always available and part of the process. So we don't require that students submit any additional documents in the review process. There's not a separate application for it. It's all through the review. So when it comes to me or one of my colleagues, at the same time we issue an acceptance, we'll also consider students for scholarship.
We have one question from Emily Dobson in Brazil. Do you have financial aid for transfers by any chance, like CSS or any way to finance their education?
For international students, we don't offer need-based financial aid. However, I always give the advice if students, are close, reach out to your admissions officers, reach out to your financial aid officers to see if there is any other university money that could be available to them. So while it might not exist in a policy and an institution says, we don't give need-based financial aid for that particular group, it's always worth asking to see if there's any other additional monies that can be awarded.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, Victor, because I remember when I worked at Lynn University, there were departments will have specific dollars amounts for like grants. So I remember one particular scholarship for Haitians, for
Mhm.
Haiti, it's students from Haiti, they will get a $5,000, $10,000 grant. So you bring up a good point that while there is no need-based possibility, opportunity, there may be some grants available. So let's go back to the number side. So you're around 16,000 students total, both
Mhm.
graduate and undergraduate. Around 14,000 of those are undergraduate. Then you have around 600 to 700 total international students in that freshman or transfer class the first year, correct?
So for international numbers total on campus, each year we have close to about 600 that include undergraduate and graduate. So
Okay,
it's not terribly large, it's in the single digit percentages, but
okay,
we do have, again, a significant amount of resources and advocates for those students. And we are, of course, trying to do more and expose ourselves, to the international community to make sure that they know what we have to offer at the University of Rhode Island, and even just in the state of Rhode Island. If I can go back to me being from the Dominican Republic, a lot of students will be interested, in just a specific area. They just say, I want to go to DC, or I want to go to Boston, or I want to go to New
okay,
York,
okay.
But to educate the students out there, that proximity now and, being in this global world and it's easy to travel. While you might have a friend in Boston, you're only an hour and a half away from them if they're attending a school, up
Okay.
there, or even in New York. Easy to get down there for the weekend, still see them, or have them come visit you for the beaches in Rhode Island.
Victor, probably you're super busy. How many of you are working with a group of international and domestic transfers?
So domestic transfers, we have our special populations team
Mm-hmm.
is five students with our director, five of my colleagues with our director, Miss Debbie Suggs, and we're a great team because it's all hands on deck. So if someone needs assistance
Okay.
with Veterans Affairs, for any folks out there with that, international, the transfer admissions process, and also we have a special program called Talent Development for students in Rhode Island that makes up another portion of special students populations. But outside of that, we're also working with a team of close to 15 others, undergraduate freshman side of things. So probably about 20 of us, boots on the
Okay. So
ground.
you guys are wow. So you're truly busy, absolutely busy. How is the I-20 sending those I-20s to all the international students? How is it working?
It's working great. So the two, I'll give them a shout out, our two international folks, Bo Gilly and Piotr Skuza. They've been making the process really seamless for students. As they're getting documents, they've been going into the office, following social distancing, even though people aren't on campus right now, to process the I-20, to go to FedEx or UPS to ship them out. So they've been making the process as easy as possible for the students, and they're making sure that they're not sitting on anything. They're working through very, very quickly, regardless of the amount of applications that we have. We're trying to, again, just make sure that the students have all the information they need to make the best decision for their next steps.
And just because you just throw some language here, do you want to explain what an I-20 is for parents that are watching and students that are watching right now?
Sure. So the I-20 is the first step in receiving your F1 student visa, so your actual student visa that you would need to study in the U.S. and maintain. So with that, typically in the process, and at our institution too, you can receive an acceptance, you can go through the acceptance process, but ultimately to receive your visa, you have to show proof of finances.
Mm-hmm.
So some students might use their own families' monies. They might be receiving a special government program and assistance program from their country. I remember students from St. Martin, they would receive scholarships, as part of that. So you have to show how you would be paying for 1 year's worth of tuition in order to receive that next step, the I-20, to then go on to your visa appointment. And like you were saying, some schools now, the price can be pretty high, but our I-20 price would be around that approximate $46,000.
That's good to know. Now, for like Emily in Brazil and Belinda in the Dominican Republic, for myself and many colleagues around the world, do transfers still have time to apply to you guys for this fall? or it is too late? Deadline is passed.
So it's not too late. So our deadline was June 15th, but we've been getting more and more and more interest in the fall as an opportunity. So we've actually extended now to July 27th.
Okay,
So
okay.
there is still
Thank you.
plenty of time for students that are looking.
Okay, now let's deep into the phase of going back to campus. When are you guys moving back to campus? What has your president announced and the whole community? What's the next phase for you guys to welcome all the students and returning students?
Sure. So first and foremost is safety. We're all itching to get back to campus. We had a big team meeting, Zoom meeting this morning, and everyone shares the sentiment is that we miss each other being in the office. We miss seeing each other, seeing the students on campus. So the biggest thing, and I think our president, in all the communications and being completely clear and upfront, is making sure that safety is the forefront. So we'll know a little bit more by July as to what the
Okay,
official decision is. But right
okay,
now, we're hopeful that we can be on campus. That decision hasn't been finalized. By no means am I saying we're 100% on campus, but that's what we would all like to be, and we're doing everything we can to gear up for that. Obviously, we'll have to have social distance protocols in place and making sure everyone's safe. If that is the decision. But our President Dooley did say that we would be getting more information about that in the coming weeks. And we
okay.
do have a section of our website committed to that too, if anyone wants to keep up.
Okay. Now, Victor, a good point. If families, students, counselors want to follow you, what will be the Instagram account to follow updates?
So the best Instagram account to follow us afterwards will be at University of RI.
At
So
University of.
yeah, so
Okay.
we've consolidated it all into one place for all of our messaging. I'm still using this one partially, but the best place to see the most up to date is at University of RI.
Okay, perfect. And we will make sure to spell that out as well on our YouTube channel, Instagram, so folks can go back to that. I find it fascinating. I find it like more and more students and families are going to Instagram to get the firsthand information. They think websites, but they also think Instagram. So let's move into student psychology right now. This morning, we're dealing with one of our transfer students. She's going to California. And we found out that she does a lot of online shopping. And the online shopping account is the same account that she uses for her college. And she cannot locate information from the university. Right now, she's on the I20 stage. She's trying to matriculate courses and so forth. What's your word of wisdom to students when it comes to emails? How can they centralize their information?
So I always think back to the way I was told way back when to do it in email. We were working through that, but was to have a dedicated email to my applications, and that was it. Anything from schools that would be coming into one place, because even just from that, you do get a lot of information sent, especially if you're applying to a bunch of different institutions.
Yes.
But I think the biggest thing that you can do and the most important thing that you can do is make a one-on-one connection with your counselor, because if you do run into that situation where you're scrolling through hundreds and hundreds of deals over the last few days and you can't find your student password, you feel comfortable enough to say, Victor, just can't find it, or I need it reset, can you help me? So definitely introducing yourself to the counselor and having that open dialogue with them. You don't want to be stuck in a situation, especially if there's a deadline, where you're trying to get it done a few hours beforehand and reaching out and calling around. So make the connection, get a person. I feel like with social media and everything that we have access to right now, it's easy to lose that face-to-face and personal connection, even though we are virtually face-to-face. But I think there's some satisfaction and comfort knowing that, if I pick up a phone or if I send an email right now to get the information I need, I know this person's going to get back to me.
So what's the best way for a student to communicate with you guys when they need to fix their student portal, when they need information about advising? What's your recommendation?
So I would always start, we have the easiest email address to start is admission@uri.edu. So
Okay.
without an S. And then from there, we all take turns monitoring the account to make sure that they're sent to the appropriate person if they're not addressed specifically. My email address is just my first initial last name, so vsilva@uri.edu. You can skip that part of the process and go right to me. And the biggest thing is I always say to my students, if you feel comfortable with me and you don't know who the person is in this next step in your process, I'm happy to make the introduction and make the connection, so
Okay.
that this way they feel a little bit more comfortable moving on to the advisor or to financial aid and those kinds of things.
And I'm sure that your marketing department will be super busy because nowadays the students are writing messages through the Instagram account. So I'm sure
Hmm.
that they're gonna see a spike of well, admissions will see a decrease on emails. They will see a spike of messages on Instagram because they are asking questions on Instagram.
Absolutely. We've done chats and webinars, very much like, every institution, in light of, being under quarantine and those kinds of things. And it's amazing just the amount of students that are coming out and participating in these things, and asking great questions. But I do think that that instant gratification of being able to answer right away or having that instant connection is very helpful. So we're trying as best as possible to be out there for you virtually, but we're hopeful that we'll be on campus for you in person very soon too.
Okay, so I have a case study for you right now.
All right.
So you extended your deadline July 27th. Thank you so much. Students, they love it because they don't know pretty much where they're going in the terms. Decisions might shift. If they're from Rhode Island, they may want to stay closer, they cannot travel, or internationals. So here is your case study. We have a student, let's go back to the Dominican Republic. He
Mm-hmm.
or she applies July 27th. You guys accept it, and it's coming from a local university in the Dominican Republic. Then it comes the component of the transfer evaluation. Who should they send the transfer evaluation? Remember, we have a short period of time. We have what? When do you guys supposedly start classes in the fall?
September
September or
9th.
September 9th?
Mm-hmm.
So we basically have 4 weeks for you guys to get the transfer evaluation and the I-20. Is that doable or not?
It's doable for sure. When we
Okay.
talk about July 27th, though, that is a completed application. That's everything in
Okay.
hand. I think
Okay.
that's the biggest thing, because if it's just the common application where our transfer application exists and we're still waiting for documents, that causes the timing issue more than anything.
Okay. Okay.
So a completed app, we turn around very, very quickly. For domestic transfer students or students that are international and in the U.S., studying at another institution, 48 hours from the time the file is complete.
Okay.
The team is constantly working to make sure, again, that students are having their decisions, because so much goes into place, like you said, especially with the I-20 process, visa appointments, those kinds of things. We want to make sure that a student doesn't feel rushed, any anxiety about the process, and they feel comfortable in moving next steps and enrolling.
And for that transfer evaluation, would you accept that transcript from the local university? Would you need a translation? Do you send them to Education USA? How do you want to see that evaluation?
So we're pretty flexible. I guess if we were going to talk about easiest route, but it depends on the student, it might not be easy for them, would be to go through a third party like a Silva
Okay.
or a World Education Services. However, one of our international folks, Piotr Skuza, is fluent in 5 different languages. So he can
Okay.
evaluate transcripts in Chinese, in Spanish, in Polish, in
Wow.
Portuguese. It's amazing. So
Okay.
what he can do internally, and if there's something we have questions about, there's translations. If Education USA, you are always a huge help to all of us with helping students submit their documents or doing translations for them. We try to make it as easy and affordable for the student as possible to go through the process.
Okay. I want to take a second to say hello to Wita Admissions, Payal, Amy. We have here Valentina Levy. Thank you so much for watching. Tell your friends. We're with Victor Silva, University of Rhode Island, transfer admissions, and we're walking the world of transfer admissions at University of Rhode Island. Now, when I went on your website, on your LinkedIn, and actually Pana Gringa just joined from Panama. Hola, Pana. I hope you're well as well. Victor and I, we communicated through LinkedIn, and I've been asking our students, our seniors or juniors in high school, this is a good time to upload the resume into LinkedIn and then start networking. So Victor and I, he reached out to me through LinkedIn and we exchanged messages. I get messages on Instagram, I get messages on WhatsApp, on email, text, you name it, Twitter, you name it. So I always tell the students, keep your LinkedIn accounts very current. Victor might be looking at your LinkedIn account as well. If you're doing a student's research at your school, what a great tool. What do you think, Victor, about LinkedIn?
I love it. And I think sometimes students shortchange themselves, because they'll go through the common application and they're thinking about their extracurriculars or what they do. And they're like, oh, I help my father at his business, or I volunteer here. And it's just something I do. But those are things you should be proud about and absolutely put on a CV, a resume, because, I used to use the expression that your application's a little paper version of you. It's not paper anymore. It's an electronic version of you. But if we don't meet you in person, how do we get to know you and what kind of student you'll be and how you'll, impact the community unless we have that extra information? So, the application gives you a small place to write, but you're always encouraged to send in an external document, an auxiliary document to submit that includes those extra awards or something that didn't fit within there. You want to tell your story and you want to make sure that you get it out the way you want it to.
Thank you so much. Victor, specialized majors that you guys offer at University of Rhode Island. I know you have tons of careers and majors, but some niche that we don't know and that we want to share that with everyone.
Absolutely. So we do have a pharmacy program on campus. I think that's a great option, especially for some of our international students. For transfer students, unfortunately, it's closed. It would be for incoming freshmen.
Okay.
But our most popular within pharmacy, also our marine biology program. We have our own campus dedicated or building on campus just a few miles away, dedicated to those folks within marine affairs, marine biology, oceanography, our College of Business and our College of Engineering. But then anything that falls outside of that is still very exciting and very, very successful. But we just see a lot of students going into these career-specific paths. I think that's what we've seen more in a trend. But definitely for those folks interested in double majoring, minoring, study abroad, internships, all things you can do with us, and you have plenty of support to find your way through that.
Victor, NCAA, have you heard any updates on NCAA transfer students? What have you heard for NCAA for this upcoming fall season?
So I haven't heard too much, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it depends on what the ultimate decision is come July. If you can't be on campus, then, sports are obviously tough to go through there. But we are NCAA Division I for most of our sports in the Atlantic 10 Conference. I know all of our athletes are itching to get back on the field, especially for those students that didn't have their season this year or had their season cut short. So we're hopeful, again, that with everybody else, we can be on campus, but we don't know 100% sure yet.
Okay, you grew up in Rhode Island. How are your fishing skills? You like fishing?
It's something that I think I missed out on. I like to eat it, but I don't know if I want to do the work to get it.
Any special hobbies?
So outside of, especially in quarantine, I've gotten on, I know, again, it might not look like it, but I've gotten on my bike a little bit more. I have a seat for my son. We take two bike rides a day. And then on top of that, again, we're very, very fortunate. The beach is never too far away. So especially now that they're back open, we're trying to make our way as frequently as we can because my son Oscar loves it. So it's his happy place. It's our happy place. My wife's from Rhode Island too. So it's always something, that's in our heart, being close to the ocean, being close to the beach.
Okay. Now, one final question, Victor. What about college fairs, virtual college fairs? What information are you getting for transfer virtual college fairs? Where can students find that information and parents?
Absolutely. So we have right now, it's on our visit us section of our website. So any kind of live webinar, whether it's specific to transfer or first year, can be found within that. Also, if you're just looking for transfer, the easiest way to go is just URI transfer admissions. And we have the same options in there and to find our events. Right now, for the rest of the summer, we're hosting chats every Thursday night at 7 p.m. EDT. So again, if students are interested in that, can't find it on the website after the brief description I gave you, just email me vsilva, VSILVA, @uri.edu, and I'll be happy to send you the link to register for the chats. But again, we're doing those regularly. And then we're trying to add some different things too, some exciting things that aren't just, presentation wise. So yesterday we had a great open forum where students could just ask the questions they wanted. We had a giveaway that we have to send out with a grab bag and some stuff, some swag from the university for the students that answered, the questions correctly. So just trying to keep it fun, and also make sure that, again, everyone feels comfortable, reach out to us to know that there's people on your side to help you through the process.
Victor, what have you been learning from this social distancing from home? Any final thoughts, message that you want to send to everyone that is watching right now?
I want to say, I know it's been, tough time being at home maybe for some, others may love it, but, I think after it, we come out, and, our sense of community, everyone's going to be so excited to see each other. I know that I am, and I can't wait to be back in the fold and on the university campus. So I say be patient, trust in the process, and we'll all be together soon.
Victor, thank you so much. I just want to say to you, to University of Rhode Island, to your boss, to marketing department, thank you for letting us use the handle for Instagram. But you guys are doing a great job. I know the transfer work is complex, it's difficult. Patience, I'm sure that you're working 24/7 to get all these domestic and international students on campus. So on behalf of the students, parents, educational community, thank you, man, and the whole team for working so many hours on this.
No, likewise. Thank you to you and your team. It's always nice to connect with you and everyone there, and you make everything so easy. And anything we can do for you, please let us know, or you and your students. We're happy to do it. We're all in this together. So just a matter of finding the right fit, and I hope to stay in touch. And please, anyone, if you have any questions, please reach out.
No, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, we are with Victor Silva, University of Rhode Island, Transfer Office. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for connecting to me through LinkedIn. And mi casa es tu casa. Molto obrigado. And I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Muchísimas gracias. A la orden.
And gracias. And for those of you watching, remember this video will be housed on IGTV on my Instagram and also on JCT for Education, Juan Catamayo for you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Juan.
Take care. Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.